All right, first question up for this week's coaching call is a follow-up from last week's elbow tendonitis questions. It says, I just wanted to bring you up to speed on the goings-on over the last several weeks. So the main issue that was identified was the lack of shoulder mobility. My low bar squat, I was using a narrow grip and pulling my elbows under the bar, and this seems to have created a lot of tension, a lot of stress on the tendon. This week, I had a deload plan, so I tentatively eased back into training, and so far so good. The main thing I've switched is my grip. I've stayed low bar, but with a Ripito style grip, meaning thumbless and flaring my elbows back to keep my wrists and elbows in line, and so far it feels good. My question would be, do I just jump back in, notwithstanding that I missed the last 3 weeks? This week was deload, so it was light, but I was also conservative with the volume. Let's answer that question first and then cover any questions that are remaining. More or less, given the position that you're in this training cycle, yes, you can do that. You can more or less jump back in to where you left off. Since this week is a deload, that functions as a reintroduction week. So although you don't have the volume backing you from the previous block, that you should still be okay to move into the next block. Now, later on, I know that you mentioned that some of your contest dates have changed, so that could drive some other changes as we, adjust those contest dates and adjust your training to fit those contest dates. But in principle, you can, in a situation like this, you can more or less pick up where you left off. Just make sure that you get that deload week of training in, and that kind of functions as your reintroduction. It's also interesting to note the technical change that you made that seems to have solved your issue. I'm glad that you went into detail as far as explaining what it was that you did different. And just to reiterate on that for anyone else who's watching that maybe didn't catch all of it, when you have a more narrow grip and you pull your elbows down, it does create a really stable shelf, and it helps with force transfer. So I think that's good up to a point. But as you can see from this person and the question that was being asked, it can also lead to a lot of stress on tendons and connective tissue and cause pain problems later on down the line. So by switching to a thumbless grip, moving his grip out wider, and letting the elbows drift back a bit, that was able to solve his problem. So that would be a thing that I would at least experiment with if you're having elbow tendonitis problems or biceps problems, shoulder problems, things like that. I think experimenting with your grip width and just how the bar is sitting on your back is a really useful endeavor and potentially saves you a lot of time. So I think that covered everything that I wanted to cover in this part. I want to save some of your other questions for their own video.